Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Polis Project Dispatches series. Um, the Citizens Against Hate released last month a report titled The Dismantling of Minority Education, Police Violence in Aligarh Muslim University and Jamia Milia Islamia. Working with over 200 testimonies, the report found that in repressing the anti-CIA protest in these two universities, the police exercised unnecessary and disproportionate force. The report found that police violence was often communally motivated and that police actions were endorsed by complicit mainstream media that portrayed students like criminals. The report also analyzed the findings of the National Human Rights Commission, which in fact was headed by a police officer from Uttar Pradesh. And the report concluded that the commission worked on scant evidence to create a narrative that put the blame of the violence on the brutalized students themselves. Now, what we're here today to do is to try and reconstruct what happened in those dramatic days. We have three student leaders with us, and I am so grateful for their presence. And we want to hear from them what happened in the days between the 12th of December 2019, when the CIA was passed, to the 15th of December, when both campuses were raided. And starting from those episodes and those events, what I would like to discuss further is also the rampant Islamophobia and the ongoing criminalization of dissent. So there is a lot on our plate today, and thank you very much for being with us. Thank you so much, Ladeeda Farzana, Aysha Renna, and Sharjeel Usmani. Thank you so much. So what I would like to discuss to start our conversation with is something that we often say, but in your case has very much come to life. That is the very strong connection between the personal and the political. So I would like to hear from you, each one of you, what happened in those days between the 12th and the 15th or 16th of December 2019. Anyone who wants to start? Ladeeda, do you want to take it first?
Yeah, okay, fine. The anti-CIA protest at Jamia were one of the first its kind in India. And the very first protest was at actually Aligarh Muslim University. And the protests at Jamia were sparked in the solidarity for the 24,000 people going on hunger strike at Aligarh Muslim University. And at the time, there already been small scattered protests at Jamia, and some of us girls around 1,000 students from the hostel and organized a pretty big rally. And at the Parliament March that happened later with so many thousands of people, the police attacked. Everyone know about that, and you could say they immolated a war zone there, and that's how bad it was. The encounter with the police was painful. Even women were spared from their onslaught, not given the least consideration. And the crowd of protesters was very diverse, people with different opinions about their politics and nationality. But they were all together, I say, and there were often arguments and different opinion at the meeting of planning the protest. But out there in front of the police, all of us stuck together. And everyone know the video of the police attacking me, Aysha Renna, Krista, Chanda, Shaheen, and Tasneem. That went viral at that time. That's something I will never. Personally, I have a lot to say about everything that happened before and after December 15th. The police attack on Jamia on December 15th brought national attention to the anti-CIA protests at Jamia, and same time at the Aligarh Muslim University also. It was the unified effort of a lot of people that made these protests successful. And since then, I was called to participate in similar protests in many parts of India, talked to a lot of media. They were the initial changes that the publicity brought actually. this brought to me the responsibility to do everything I could for this movement, and of course, from my within my limits. But I believe I have had strong political opinion way before this, because we know this is for Muslims. This is a life and death uh, protest, or we know that what was going on in this India decade. So I believe in that way. So CA is an issue of life and survival for a community that I am part of. So no matter how much the police hate me or anyone, or insult or charge with cases, I consider it my responsibility to fight for this till the very end.
Thank you. Aysha, do you want to follow?
I would like to hear from Sharjeel's perspective, because two Jamia people talking first seems to be a bit. I'm giving it to Sharjeel.
Yeah, thank you, Aisha, for that kind gesture. And thank you, of course, Polis Project for initiating this very important discussion. To begin with, like what happened on December 15th, like as Ladeeda already mentioned that like in AMU, the protest started way before than anybody in India started the protest. We actually started the protest on the evening of 6th of December only. The bill wasn't passed yet, and and we somehow knew because AMU has Aligarh Muslim University has a lot of has seen such attacks since independence of India. So we were afraid that this might take a bad turn, and this is not just another rhetoric. Like ever since this party came in power, this government came in power, they
Looks like we're having some troubles with Sharjeel's connection. Aisha, do you want to take it on until he sorts it?
I will carry forward until Sharjeel's connection is back to the normal thing. So the main reason that I told Sharjeel to speak is mainly because the thing that the protest, though the protest
Hello.
has initially started in the. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, somehow there was some Wi-Fi glitch.
Oh, sure.
So we started the protest formally on 6th of December, and till but nobody noticed our protest until 10th of December, when like more than 25,000 students in AMU, they decided to sit on mass hunger strike. No, and it was the same day the bill was going to be tabled in the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of a parliament, and but the bill was passed nonetheless, and we continued with our protest. And on 11th of December, and this is very important that we mention this, that on 11th of December we invited a few leaders from JNU, to few student leaders from JNU to share their thoughts on this bill, and among others, Sharjeel Imam, who is currently in Tihar jail on sedition charges and UAPA. He was one of the speakers who came to AMU on 11th of December. And on the following day, on 12th, Dr. Kafil and Yogendra Yadav came, and they gave their solidarity to our movement. And I'm mentioning this because like Sharjeel made that speech on 11th of December. Then he came back on 16th of January again and gave another speech. And everything went normal after Sharjeel's speech, after Dr. Kafil Khan's speech on 12th. And meanwhile, since 10th of December only, we started getting FIRs. Like on 10th, more than 3,000 AMU students were booked in different cases. And on 12th again, on 12th of December again, we had 1,500 students booked on another FIR. And on 13th, when this on 13th, the students of Jamia were brutally lathi charged in Delhi. They were on their way to Parliament. They called a Parliament march against this bill, and on their way, the police retaliated in a way it shouldn't have on students. And we'll get into what police did. But on 14th, the protest went on as usual. It was then a 10 days long protest. And on 15th, when the police violence started in Jamia, we started getting all kinds of messages from Jamia. People, like I remember a friend of mine who was studying in AMU, and then he went on to study journalism in Jamia. He called me, and I was at the library canteen having a meeting of how to take this protest forward. And he was crying, and he said, "You are in Aligarh. You please apologize to my parents. I called them. They aren't picking up. Please apologize to them on my behalf. I'm going to die." This is what he said, and he was hiding in some bathroom, and we were getting such kind of messages by the evening, and that has one kind of effect. So our initial plan was to block the highway, Aligarh highway, nearest highway from our campus on 18th. So we were campaigning for that, but when this Jamia violence happened, we decided to launch a protest then and there in solidarity with the students of Jamia. And when we reached the main gate of the campus, like the students started rallying from the library to the main gate of the campus. And what we see there is that the police was already ready with all their weapons, all their machines that they used to torture people. And in 15 minutes, the situation completely changed. It felt like a war scene, and this is something that the Allahabad High Court judge also noted after seeing the pictures of the violence that happened on 15th of December. That he actually asked the police what happened in AMU that you turned it into a war-like situation. This is an actual quote from a sitting judge. And what happened actually was that with the police, they came like a dozen people who weren't police officers, who had cameras, who looked like journalists, and they started pelting stones on students. So the students went on to grab them, and then the police came in their defense, and then the police started with this with assault rifles. They started shooting students with assault rifles. They started firing tear gas shells, stun grenades on students, and this went on for more than 6 hours. The police eventually went inside the campus. They broke in the hostel rooms. They burned down at one point of time, there was a student who was hiding in his room. He locked himself inside in his hostel room. He wasn't part of the protest either. The police first tried to break the door. When they couldn't, they opened the window and they fired a stun grenade inside the room, and the room went on fire. And the student had to come out to save his life, and then the police arrested him. Like, they went on beating him, dragging him on road, and they took him to his car. And this is how, like, more than 27 students were arrested on the night itself. And the next day we see on TV that I was named the mastermind of that violence that happened, and along with me there were 54 other students. Like, the trial is in court now, and more than 8,000 students from AMU itself are booked under various charges. And this is this is not an isolated incident that happened in AMU or in Jamia. Like, in UP alone, from 15th of December to 15th of January, more than 130,000 people were booked under different cases. Like, countless were missing. More than 3 dozen were dead with police fire, and too numerous to be named individually. number of people, like countless number of people were jailed on no charges. So this was the kind of, like, it felt like the state had launched a war against its citizens, like the us on the margins. And but ever since the protest started, we had one thing clear, that this protest wasn't just to get this bill, rolled back. We in AMU firmly believed, and I'm sure the students in Jamia also supported uh, this idea, that this protest wasn't just to get this bill, citizenship amendment bill, rolled back. It was a protest to reclaim the self-respect and dignity of Muslims as a community in India. Like this wasn't uh, just a citizens protest to a form of dissent against a bill that was passed by a government. This particular government was trying to strip us of our membership in the Indian society. And earlier, like a decade ago, it was debated in Parliament, in Indian Parliament, whether or not Muslims in India are second-class citizens. And now, after this bill was passed, it was debated that whether or not Muslims in India are even citizens. So the situation had come down to this, and we had nothing to say. Like we don't have representation in any form of public life that India offers as a nation, and our citizenship was the only thing that was left with us to be part of this nation, the so-called largest democracy. And we wanted that, and that's why, like, of all the protests that bloomed in several cities of India after 15th of December, like, nobody called them. They did not call. They did not come on the streets because Sharjeel called them or Ladeeda or Aysha called them. They came because they knew that it was their last chance to fight back. Because if they did not rise today, they won't be able to get even this chance to resist. And like, I remember one incident from a district called Sambal. I traveled to that place. A youth was killed by a police officer uh, in the protest, and I met his mother. He was a boy of my age, Faizan, and like, everybody was talking to her mother. There was several people from media who were talking to her, and she tells me that she isn't sorry for her son's loss. First, because her son died fighting for what was right, and second, because she lost one son and got, like, she waved her hand to all of us and said she lost one son and got so many sons in return. And that's what that touched me, uh, because we as students, his son was an auto rickshaw driver. Like, he earns less than $100 per month, and they and they she just lost her son, and she was saying that she isn't sorry. She is proud of her son, and that I am also his son, and that my fellow comrades, they are also her son. So that tells you how personal this was for all of us, for all 25 million Muslims of India. And I'll let Aysha speak now, and I'll add to this later, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to start from the place where Sharjeel stopped. Before that, I would like to, appreciate the effort which has been taken from the part of the Police Project to start or to have a conversation like this, including both the students from both Aligarh and Jamia. And it's my pleasure to be a part of it too. So Ladeeda has already talked about how traumatic and how the things that happened, or how the events that happened in our campus. since then, everywhere I go or every people I met, in spite of media person, activist or everyone, the first question they asked me specifically was that how traumatized that incident was, or how painful for you it's to encounter, to resist the police brutality on that specific day. I should say that it's really painful and it's traumatized. But at the same time, this is how each and every Muslim going on or going through in India, being an Indian Muslim. That is how each and everyone. The one thing became so popular and people started asking me because that video went viral and people used to talk about it. There are so many unseen incidents in which Muslims are targeted. They are brutalized. They are being, attacked only because their name starts with a Muslim name, or they have the identity of a Muslim community. So this is how the India is going through, or going through right now. I should say very evidently after the BJP government coming into the power. Even before that, there have been incidents like this, but it became more evident, or it became more explicit. It became a normalized, and they started to take it for a granted thing after the BJP government coming into the power, and they started implementing and establishing the things that otherized Muslim community. Not only the Muslim community as such, every minorities, but when it comes to the case of the Muslim, when it comes to their agenda of creating an Hindutva Rashtra, Muslims became on the other side, and every time they are otherized in each and every word. So I was very fortunate to attend a number of Shaheen Baghs that arose in the different parts of the country as a part of the anti-CAA protest. And what I personally felt, or what I personally came to after having conversation with all of them, is that in our country, Muslims do not have their right to have justice, equality, and individuality as such. And those who challenged it, they are always considered to be anti-national or Pakistani, go to Pakistani. That is something which I heard, or I came through most often every time, even through the text, even through the phone calls. They will tell me to go to Pakistan. Who are they to tell me to go to Pakistan? It's like India is my country and I am supposed to live here. If they have some problems of inclusiveness, or they have some problem of I am living here, they should find some other places. I am not someone to move to other places. Every time Indian Muslim is told to prove their patriotism, prove their love towards the country. I don't know how to prove this. Indian Muslims have already proved it during the time of 1947, when India divided and Pakistan formed. The people who are living in India right now, they choose to be in India. And it's really pathetic that after 76 years, still they are told to prove their patriotism. Still they are told to prove their countries. Like, the thing is that much pathetic is our country is going through. So anti-CAA movement, or the protest that arose as a part of it, can be seen as, like Ladeeda pointed out, like live or die thing. Like, everyone came to a realization that if we are not protesting today or right now, we won't be able to get another chance. When the Babari thing happened, what was the thing? Almost every Muslim areas were under the police control, and almost every WhatsApp group. That was something which I was very much disappointed with. Even the family WhatsApp groups became admins only WhatsApp groups. Not even a single message regarding Babari was allowed to pass to each and everyone or each other. People feared that kind of thing. That much amount of Islamophobia is being injected into each and every citizens of our country, and that is how the Muslims is facing in our country. So when an anti-CAA movement happened, or when an attack on the universities like Jamia Aligarh happens, people came onto the street consciously by realizing all these facts, that if they are not doing it right now, and they won't be able to. And also the students on the Jamia and Aligarh were a part of victims of the police brutality. But there is no point in victimizing them. Instead, whenever I have talked to the people, everyone told me the fact that by seeing that brutality, their emotions aroused, and that is how they came to. So at a point, the incidents that happened in our campuses became point of motivation or a point of inspiration for the people of India into coming to the streets and act against the police brutality. So I was very fortunate, though I have experienced or I am going through the pain and trauma that gave me on that particular day. I was very fortunate and I was very happy that at least it helped the people to come onto the street and act against the police brutality. Even we can see all sorts of the protests that happening after that also. People started to talk about the things or talk about the level of discrimination we are facing in the country after that, and they started to come to the streets and protest. That is very very fine thing. If the people we define democracy as something like that itself. Democracy will be only completed when people are protesting against the brutality which they are facing or the discrimination which they are facing. So though I am so happy that that particular incident became very much motivation or a point so that people came to the streets and people are on the street acting against all the discrimination and all the violences they have been facing, by which and another thing which I wanted to point it out is that after all that incident, I have been trying all my best to write about that particular incident after that, but I couldn't do that. Maybe because it's writing is something so writing on a particular incident, it seems to be very much traumatized for us if that incident that much shaken us back. So even after that, even all that, that is what everyone is facing. And another disappointing, even after the 1 year of that particular incident, no action has been taken against the police who has barged inside our campus, vandalized our libraries, attacked our students. Even one of our friend lost his eyes. But not a single action is taken against that. It was very evidently clear that that particular violence or the brutality was done mainly purposefully from the side of the government, using all the things that is available for them. Even though there was such a chaos that happened as a result or against all that brutality, not a single action, but instead what is happening right now? The students and activists who were involved in the anti-CAA protest were taken into the jails and they are languishing in the jails right now. Maybe because the government wanted to do all these things to make the other people outside to fear of, or they wanted us to, grab us back by, taking all these, seeing all these arrests and all these things. That is not going to happen. From leaders who are in the jail, from Sharjeel Imam to Umar Khalid, they don't wanted us to, move back by seeing all those things. They are being in the jail and they are doing all their best from there. So the community or the people outside are not going to stay back after seeing all that sort of things. We have decided to fight back against it. We are looking forward to the reopening of the campuses as well as releasing the restrictions which was imposed by the government as a part of the COVID pandemic. We are looking forward to it, and we will be definitely occupying the streets, occupying the protest sites as soon as possible for us. And we are looking forward to gain that momentum of the protest in the near future.
Thank you, and more power to you all. It's incredible. Thank you very much. One thing that seems to to be at the very, very heart of the protest and also of your own personal motivation is a question of dignity. And it's a question of reclaiming your dignity both as an individual but as a citizen of a country. So I think that's something that I would like all of you to comment on. But also, I would like to refer to something that Nabia Khan mentioned last week in our Poets of Resistance event. She said that while she was reciting her poems in various protest sites, she was sort of encouraged to tone down her Muslimness. So while it's okay to protest as a citizen, it's not so okay to protest as a Muslim citizen. So I would like you to comment on this.
That is how the Indian the so-called secularism trying to trying to help Indian Muslims in fighting back. Like I also had very similar sort of experiences, or everywhere when I am about to speak on a protest site, some people used to come near me, and initially they will tell me, like, don't talk about Sharjeel, don't talk about the arrest, you just talk about, share your experiences. And every time, everywhere, I used to begin my speeches with salam. So they will specifically tell me, don't come up, don't use that thing. You have to generalize your sentences. You have to include all the things, or you have to become more constitutional. You have to generalize each and everything that you're telling. Like the point is, like, I cannot understand what is in this so-called generalization, or what is the secularism which they have been telling. Secularism means an inclusiveness or equal preference to each and every religion. But what is the thing that is happening when a particular community is otherized, when a particular community is discriminated, when a particular community is attacked based on their identity, and they have been tortured based on their identity, they are jailed based on their identity. I don't expect others, or is that someone should be telling, like, you should remove your identity, or you should keep your identity hidden and come to the protesting. That's not the right thing. I as much as I have understood, if one community is targeted based on their identity, they should assert it more and more, and they should protest it by asserting it, not keeping it aside. The so-called secularist of our country is telling the community is to, keep your identity assert and try to become more secular. But that is not the secularism that I have learned, or that is not the secularism that I have I'm looking forward to, or that is not the secularism which our constitutional makers mean when they have coined that all the things of our country. So that was one of the experience, or the things which I have to tell regarding my, like, there were people who have told me even that you can remove your scarf and you will be accepted more among the people. I was just like, I don't want to remove my scarf, and I don't want to be that much accepted among the people. I'll just assert my identity. I'll fight back, asserting my identity. I'll fight back, holding my identity and my Muslimness. Evidently, like, we are expecting a kind of solidarity into that. If one really wanted to protest against all the atrocities or all the violences which the government is doing against the Muslim community, they should join them by expressing their solidarity, and they are always welcome to. But they are not welcomed to, tell us to keep aside our identity.
I would like to add more on what Aysha just said, on our allies shutting down our Muslim identity. So this is a very clever politics, and I'll rather call it, this is, a kind of intellectual dishonesty which they are doing, not just to us, to to the idea of resistance in general. Because when they say that they try to, like, as Aysha mentioned, that they tried to make this fight as people who are pro constitution versus people who are against this constitution, which wasn't the case. The case was people who are oppressors and who belong to a particular community, and people who are oppressed and who belong to a particular community. So they shifted the whole dynamics from oppressed and the oppressor dynamics from there to people who love constitution versus people who oppose constitution, which wasn't the case. Because and they do that for very, like, for a very obvious reason. They all come from a particular political party, or they support some of the other political party who are in opposition. So they would like to make this whole people's movement into BJP versus all. But we know that these people who are, giving us terms and conditions for extending their solidarities, they also have been oppressing Muslims in India at one point or the other when they were in power. So this was and that's a very important issue, because this is what Sharjeel Imam emphasized on, and that is what has led to his imprisonment. Because the moment he started, asserting his Muslim identity and resisting as a Muslim against this bill, against this government, the people who were supposed to be on our side, the people who called themselves our allies, they only started calling him radical, fringe element. In other words, they gave him those words, and later the government picked up, that he's left alone, and then he's facing the cases which he is. And I mentioned Sharjeel Imam earlier, that he was in AMU on 11th of December. Then he came back on January 16th. So there was no cases. All the speeches were recorded. All the speeches were surveilled by the police. The local intelligence, police intelligence, they were present. He gave the speeches in their presence. Nothing happened. But as soon as the right-wing celebrities on Twitter, they started, they took 30 seconds of his 1 hour long speech, and they put it on Twitter. They completely misrepresented what he was trying to say, and they started this propaganda against him. And then the police files complaints against him, not just in one state, in 5 different states. He was, charged against sedition. So this also tells us how police works. The police works on tweets sent out by propagandists and IT cell of a particular political party, and that is what Sharjeel Imam has been victim of. He's been victim of the propaganda of our allies, their intellectual dishonesty. He is being hounded by the state, and at one point of time, even the community at large, even the Muslim community at large, disowned him, saying that in order to carry on this protest forward, we need to disassociate ourselves from these people. Like even IAM and like various other, even at Ladeeda and Aysha, they were at one point of time termed as fringe elements, radicals, and words like that. And they want people who would come on the stage and they'll sing the national anthem and they'll say, all of us are brother and sister, but we are not. If all of us, if Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and Sikhs, if all these communities are brothers and sisters in India, why is that every time just one community is being oppressed? Why is that only one community is sent to jail? Yogendra Yadav, I mentioned Yogendra Yadav and Dr. Kafil, they came to AMU to extend their solidarity. They both spoke on the same thing. They both spoke both of their speeches are available on YouTube. They spoke exactly on the same thing. They opposed the CA bill. They criticized the government. But Kafil was booked under NSA, and Yogendra Yadav, because of his Hindu identity, was let go. So that is the reality. The majority of Indians, even our allies, aren't accepting, and that is what we need to make them understand. That's one of my many complaints against them.
Yeah, I would like to add just one thing, because I want to say that we fed up by these kind of questions. Like the people are asking about our identity, asking about our symbols. People are asking about belief. We just want to tell them, we listened you, we heard you for a decades. Now shut your mouth and listen to us. That we want to say to the liberals and so-called secularists. That I want to say directly, actually, because we know this is the problem with the Muslim symbols, and we know the fact that the Muslim symbols in the anti-CA protest was given a communal angle. That was an proof that how deep the Islamophobia in India runs. And this wasn't just Sangh Parivar. I can't say that, because we saw this regressive take come from many other so-called progressive spaces as well. I don't know what they faced in these 4 decades. We called us Muslim dogs. We called Pakistanis. We called by national traitors and terrorists. This we are hearing day by day, and it was so clear that it was our Muslim identity that they hated so much. And everyone who took part in the protest has known and felt this. I'm talking about a Muslim. And the general attitude towards Muslim has been the same with or without Modi. This is not the problem with Modi only or Amit Shah only. This is not now problem. This is not today's problem. This happened for the decades. So just that Modi brought a whole new method and style to the Islamophobia, and he's legalized it, and so it's peak. So since Modi came into power, RSS has been spinning popular narrative to feed this Islamophobia. Now, a single slogan against the government is all they need to put you in a jail for sedition. We know the Sharjeel Usmani is sitting here, and now Muslims have to face legal and judicial exclusion as well. And being Muslims is enough to be denied justice at court today. And Babari Masjid ruling is a good example for that. That was justice. We know that. And when we coming to when Sharjeel mentioned about the allies, I also wanted to add about the allies. We know so-called liberals and secularists, and there are many politicians and cultural activists, and media journalists were there. So liberals span out over a number of streams, and consequently, the support and involvement of liberals in the anti-CA movement cannot be analyzed through a single frame actually. And there are groups that claim the anti-CA movement is a protest for protection of the constitution, and others say it is for the protection of secularism, meaning they want to participation in the protest to be exclusive of Muslim identity. So I find stand like that unacceptable. They can call the movement whatever they want, and but demanding that Muslim identity be set aside for the protest is not logical at all. It was a problem with Muslim identity that was at the basis of Muslim citizenship becoming a crisis in India. So when that same identity makes liberal uncomfortable, that should definitely be seen as a problem. And the support of liberals who see Muslim identity and subjectivity and political accession as a problem can be of no help to the movement. And personally, I cannot form a long-term alliance with anyone who put forth condition like that. I want to clear that, because at most there can only be a strategical alliance, and we have that right now. That's only. And I wonder, do they themselves see a problem with demanding that the community whose existence is a crisis, and because of their identity set aside as that same identity for their protest? And after all, it's a such simple thing. The fact that this is a condition that applies to Muslims alone when it comes to political movement in India, it's an impact of Islamophobia. Alliance I approve of would be the people who do not carry such Islamic phobic stand. That I want to clear actually.
Thank you. There is something that you three mentioned in a way or another, and that is the role of the media. I suppose a lot about the police has been said, but I would like to comment also on what kind of role the media played in portraying both US student leaders, but also the movement as a whole in criminal terms, and how that contributed to a public discourse that is confrontational and often hostile of any form of controversy, any form of dissent that by the students has been for the most articulated in peaceful terms.
Yeah, I'll like to comment on how the media enabled the for what to begin with, what the media has been doing ever since this government came in power. We have been seeing that, and Polis has been documenting the all the instances when Indian media has been enabling genocide in general. But in talking about these protests in particular, when the police brutality in Jamia and in AMU happened, the police called it clash between students and the police. Unarmed students who were protesting for a week, they all of a sudden want to fight with the police, who are armed tremendously with weapons that are used in wars. that wasn't the case. Like I'm sure everybody has seen the video where policemen can be seen, male police officers can be seen, using violence against female students, like the video where Aysha and Ladeeda and Akhtarista and Chanda, they're trying to save Shaheen Abdullah. Same happened in AMU. Like the local media in general, the Hindi media in UP, they use the word danga or riot, which is used in India in academic circles to define a clash between Hindu community and Muslim community in general. And that is the word the media used for us. And first day it was a riot, and the second day all of us in AMU who were involved, they became masterminds on the next day. Like our pictures were on the national television. We were called masterminds of the illegal riot, and the fault line with the media is that they at one time they try to help the police in building their story, and sometimes the police helps the media in carrying the propaganda. Like there's a website called Op India. It's completely rubbish website, completely anti-Muslim website. So it's now a general saying in the academics, in the activist circles, that whoever gets featured on Op India is bound to go to jail. Like if any Muslim is featured on Op India, he's bound to go to jail. That is how the police acts. And the media, they just take the version of the police, they put it on the national television as the plain fact. Like in our incidents in AMU, the media told the nation that AMU students brutalized 19 police officers. They snatched a pistol. Like I was part of a gang who like attacked 19 police officers, and I snatched the inspector's pistol and he ran away. That was a story that the media gave, and everybody believed it. And when this case went on trial, like when I was tried in the court, the police presented no medical records of all those 19 policemen who were injured, or there was no FIR of that missing pistol that inspector claimed to have lost and that we have snatched. That was happening in AMU in particular. But like in general, what happened in the entire Uttar Pradesh was that media was helping the police identify the leaders who were leading the protest in different cities, so that the police may torture them and take them to bring them to in their record books and file cases against them. That was the role of media in Uttar Pradesh. And now the police started using this facial recognition system. So, and they gave these pictures to the media. Like the police named 99 people in Mau. Like they named 99 or 98 people in a protest. So they are named in an FIR for protesting. That was the police's version. So the media, what should it do? It should either ask what the protesters think about the FIR against them, but instead of doing that, the media, the local newspapers published the pictures of all those 99 people, and they gave the title, "These are the writers." These are, so they make sure that people, the majority community, they recognize our faces, so that we are afraid in traveling in public alone. That is the kind of atmosphere the media has created. Like I personally don't travel in public transport ever since I came out of jail, because I fear my parents fear that something might happen to me. And I'm sure all the actors who have been in the forefront, they are facing the same issue. They can't travel alone. They can't travel in public transport. Like we look at everyone with suspicion, And this is what media has created, this kind of atmosphere for us.
Anyone wants to add to this? I mean, time is running so fast and we are getting... Oh, Aysha, please. Sorry, you're on mute.
Adding into what Sharjeel added to, like, I wanted to point out another particular thing, how the media has played in, criminalizing the Tablighi Jamaat issue. Everyone might be knowing, because how media had portrayed them as the people who had spread the, there were Corona Jihad, a particular term has been coined out by the media, and by telling or entirely, victimizing entire community or criminalizing entire community. So everyone, they were spreading it through each and every one WhatsApp, and everyone know how brutal it was. And also similar thing which we can see in the case of Northeast Delhi pogrom. Still the media is using the term Northeast Delhi communal violence. How can it be a communal violence when an entire group of people attack another community who are armless and who might have not even thought about what is going to happen? But even in this time also, media is using the term communal violence. It's not communal violence. It was a pogrom that happened in Northeast Delhi. At least people should accept that fact. That was another thing which I just wanted to add with what Sharjeel has already pointed out.
We're getting a lot of questions from the audience. I'll start with one, and then we'll go back to our I have a long list myself as well, of course. So one audience member says, perhaps the root of the problem is the radicalization of the Hindu majority. Should the progressive, in inverted commas, Hindus not be focusing on de-radicalizing them instead of trying to invisibilize them?
Yeah, this is something that I've been saying since very beginning, that like India is facing the biggest mass radicalization of its citizens that the world has seen in the 21st century. Like just today, as we are talking, Muslim 32-year-old youth named Alamgir was tied and beaten to death. He was beaten hours and eventually to death on the allegations, on the suspicion that he was stealing a buffalo, stealing cattle. So, and I'm pretty sure that Narendra Modi did not call him personally to say that kill Alamgir. It was their personal decision. It was their decision. Same happened with like the first case of lynching that came in the public light, the case of Muhammad Akhlaq. His fellow villagers decided to drag him out of his own house and beat him to death on suspicion that he consumed beef. Narendra Modi or Yogi Adityanath did not call their villagers and ask them to kill Akhlaq. It was their personal decision, and that is what I've been saying, that the Hindu majority, the Hindu nation of India, needs to be de-radicalized, because if they do not, if serious efforts are not put in de-radicalizing them, then this heat will come to them as well. Because once somebody gets dehumanizing people, like they are dehumanizing us for our religious identity, tomorrow they'll be dehumanizing, they will be killing Dalits and then Adivasis and then women, and then there will always be some other, and that is how the whole model of nation state has been formed. So they should think about it seriously, because we may maybe someday Modi is voted out of power. What will happen to that majority? They are still as communal as they are today. they would be the same. And this brings me to this reminds me of another thing. When the police was attacking the students in Jamia and AMU, they were using like totally communal language. They were abusing students. They were calling students Pakistani. They were basically carrying out their personal vendetta against the students, against the Muslim students. So even the law enforcement agencies in India are deeply communal. So unless steps are taken, serious steps are taken to de-radicalize the majority of our population, I don't see a very bright future for India.
Anyone wants to add to this? I want to go back for a second, and I mean we're getting close to the end because an hour is gone, and I don't know how, because I mean you guys are so inspirational that time is really flying. I want to go back to the student movement and to the protest movement. Obviously, everything came to a halt with COVID being a perfect excuse for the government to stop everything. So, what's next for the movement?
Yeah. When we come to the future of this movement, the arrest is going on, and they were arresting the many activists and students and local people in the name of Delhi Northeast program. So the recent arrest of the government attempt to weaken the anti-CA movement, and already many of us has been arrested unjustly using charges like UAPA, and including our close friends. The complications of laws like UAPA are familiar to all of us. So it is use a strategy to jail people and deny them trial for long periods. So all of government projects are based on their Hindutva ideology. So we can see the consequent interest towards elimination of Muslims reflected in these arrests. But I don't think any of this can weaken our movement. And people are still aware of this, and people are asking about this movement and when this will restart again, and when we will occupy our roads again. So that's a very interesting thing. And naturally the yes, COVID has broken the continuity of the protest, and but the people are still aware. So BJP is under a false notion if they think they can dissolve that through these arrests. So there is a lot to say about the future and growth of this movement. First of all, anti-CA isn't the only purpose that it being put forth by Muslims through this movement, and it's a continuation of many political questions Muslims have been raising in India for decades. So the anti-CA movement is the resistance community that has been faced with discrimination, oppression, lynchings, and harassment, and judicial exclusion, and part of their existence in this country. So this movement has already instigated changes in political thinking and narrative. And for example, take a look at the all anti-Muslim program that have happened in India over the decades. So we know that the mainstream addressed all of them as riots. So they used the term riots actually, supporting narrative that put equal responsibility on the Muslims community as well when they were actually victims. But this time, the program that Sangh Parivar staged in Northeast Delhi as a sort of revenge for the anti-CA movement couldn't be written off as a riot. So that narrative didn't work out for once. So while the reality remains that Muslims are at the receiving end of police action for the riots, it's also true that the public society at large accept that it was an anti-Muslim genocidal project. So I believe that the changes brought about the narrative level by this movement is to thank for that. And in a sense, our movement has already won. I strongly believe on that, and I firmly believe that once the COVID crisis is over, or once our college, our university will reopen, yeah, inshallah, our movement will continue stronger than ever.
Anyone wants to add to this? Well, I guess we're close to our 1 hour mark. I don't know where it has gone. I'm just incredibly grateful for your very, very strong words, for your courage, and for your determination. We're receiving a lot of positive messages saying that you guys are a total inspiration, and I can only voice it out on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much, and thanks for all the people who sat with us through this conversation. Thank you.